Okay guys, welcome back again to the channel. So in this video, as you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to talk about speed in Euro Truck Simulator 2, or basically how we can drive fast without crashing. And this is very important because if you don't know the game, basically you get jobs, and as you get jobs, obviously by completing them you get experience and money and so on, and you are going to be able to level up and progress through the game, which basically means that the faster that we can complete the jobs, obviously the faster we can level up and the more money we will gain. But obviously this can seem easy at first sight, so basically you may think just press the accelerator and move on, but since we have too many trucks, we have too many loads, and obviously traffic, road conditions and so on, you have to be very careful while going fast. So that's why I decided to make this video to show you guys my tips. The first thing that you need to do if you want to go fast before you begin the job, you get the job and you begin the job, the first thing you need to do, you go into the map and you select the road by going into the highway. So for example, if this road suggested me to go into this road in here, which is a two-way road with only 2 lanes, I would not make this road, but I would go the whole way around just to stick at the highways. So basically stick as much as you can to the highways, because this is the fast way possible to travel through the map. So even though the road on the highway may seem way much longer than the road that the GPS suggests, I always, almost 99% of the time, stick to the highways. So so basically this means that you are not forced to go where the GPS tells you to, but you can watch the destination and decide which route you want to take. For example, here it tells me to go straight, but if I want, for example, I can get down here to there and go to the same destination, because the important thing here is to go to the destination. It's not important how you go there. And even if you are making more kilometers through the highway, that's even better, because believe me, the time should be 99% better. But if it's going to be worse, at least you are going to make more kilometers, and by doing more kilometers you will get more XP, so you'll level up a little bit faster. So the first thing, go to the map without beginning the journey. Go to the map, check the route, and decide which highway you need to go. So stick to the highway. This is very, very important to go fast through the game. And once you get into the highway, there are some tricks which we can use to go fast. And basically I have the right tools for the job. I have a fast truck and a heavy load, 19 tons. There are heavier loads, so you have to be careful with the more weight that you might have into your cargo. So I think this is the best combination, because yeah, we have a fast truck and a heavy load, so it's going to be hard to control, because the truck can go faster, I mean beyond the limit, and obviously we have a heavy load which is going to affect the performance on the turns. One thing you need to know obviously is that every truck will behave differently, so you have to calibrate as long as you go through the game. So the first thing you need to know about the highways is the thing called racing line that we use on racing game. For example, take the inside of the turn and then slide out on the other side. Obviously if you are not fast to crash, and obviously if you don't have traffic on the way, so use as much as you can the racing line. Go wide, then go into the turn and then slide it out or smooth it out the other side. So take advantage and use the whole wide of the road, so you can use the whole lanes at your disposal. I'm going to show you if we get a little bit of traffic. Okay, we're going to get a little bit here, so depending on the speed you're going to calibrate. Here, for example, we need to brake a little bit because we have some cars in the way, so we need to brake. If those cars weren't there, then I would have gone here without braking at all. After I got jobs with more than $15,000, I don't worry too much about the speed cameras. I just go by because losing time is not worth what you are fined. So you can do the same thing. So basically, yeah, the first thing you can do, which you can take advantage, is going with the race line. Obviously, being careful with the traffic, the road condition. If it's downhill, you have to be more careful, especially with a heavy load. And obviously, if you have traffic and rain, that's the worst case scenario that can happen. Sometimes when you are in the middle of the traffic but you are fast enough to pass them and you don't have place to pass them, you can use the outside lane because it's totally fine. There is enough space so you can squeeze yourself in there. Just make sure to watch the GPS for the next turn so you can prepare yourself. So basically, watch constantly the GPS, watch for the turns, watch the speed after that, and you can calibrate the speed which you will go through that turn. Here, for example, I can go full speed, again take the inside and then let it slide the other way, although it was a little bit risky. But if there was only one car in the way, I would have brake them for sure, because it is impossible to take that turn with that speed without braking. Here, for example, this turn it's a little bit easier, but this other one it's tricky, so you have to be very careful. Always keep your other hand on the brake so you can use the tapping motion of the brake. You can tap the brakes during the highway. So this is the next trick I'm going to tell you. Do not use heavy braking on the highway. You can use the tap braking. For example, here I'm too fast, so I will tap the brakes twice or maybe 3 times and calibrate as we go through the turn. If you feel that you are too fast, you can tap a little bit more onto the brakes and you should be fine. Here, for example, you can use again the runaway on the side of the road if you have messed the turn before going there. So basically that's it about the highways. Use as much as you can the racing line. Obviously be careful when you have traffic, rain, and especially heavy loads when you are going downhill. And yeah, don't crash, because that's the main purpose, not to crash. Now I'm going to show you how you can take the turns when you go out of the highway and when you go in the highway. So basically, let me get to some points when we get where we can get out, and I'm going to show you how you can use that trick. But basically, the main thing you can use to go fast is keeping momentum always, not only on the highway but even on bad roads or on the city. Keep always moving and try not to stop. I mean, not to go into a full stop anywhere if you can, because it's impossible not to stop anywhere. But with my tricks you can avoid at least 80% of the full stops that you might do during the run. So here again, take the inside, be careful of the car behind, take the inside again and go and slide outside without forcing the truck. So here we have an exit. What I do, I always take the inside lane because the cars that are ahead most probably are going to turn with you. So you begin on braking, then you let go, and then you tap the brakes without getting into a full stop. You let the truck always flow, always keep it moving. Do not stop at all if you can and wherever you can. So now I will turn back and show you another place. So when you are into this position, when you are going into the highway, we have a dedicated lane where we don't need to stop. But sometimes you don't have a dedicated lane to get into the highway. So you will get into the way of incoming traffic. What you can do not to stop, it's again take the outside lane. So you should be good to go. You don't have to check the mirrors, just stay in the outside lane and keep on going till you are sure that there's no car onto your side, so you can get into the highway. And yeah, again, keep on momentum and use the outside lane as much as possible so you don't interfere with the incoming or the running traffic that you may have to your way. So let's get into another exit, and I'm going to show you another example. So here again we can take advantage of the outside lane, as you saw there. So we don't need to brake here. Unfortunately, we need to brake because this turn it's a little bit tight, and also the road it's not wide enough. Also, we take advantage of the outside lane so we don't force the truck into going left. Here the same thing, because we are not too fast, so we can take it. Basically during the play you will begin feeling the speed. Here we tap a little bit the brakes because this turn is almost 90 degrees. So yeah, you get the idea. So till we find a new exit. As for the speed cameras, as I told you, I don't care too much because now the job pays me a lot of money, so I don't care about them. But basically if I want to keep momentum, I don't stop, or let's say slow down at the cameras like I'm doing it here. I'm on 130 kilometers per hour, so I don't want to lose momentum because I can keep the momentum. But if for some reason there is another thing that stops me and not the camera, so if you have to stop or slow down for any other reason rather than the camera, then you better stop before the camera so you don't get fined, because you will need to stop anyway. As for these kind of exits, it says 40 kilometers per hour, but this one can be easily taken with 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, always depending on the truck, if it's powerful enough to keep that speed, and always depending on the load that you have. But usually with 40 to 50 kilometers per hour you should be fine and you should be safe. So basically you will keep momentum and also go fast enough through those corners. And once you get used to those corners or those exits or entrance into the highways, then you should be able to feel the speed. So just keep that in mind. The trick for the exits and the entrance into the highways is the speed. So for example, if you stop in here, so let's go, in this case, sometimes in this kind of exits you can use this runaway in here into the grass and you keep 50 kilometers per hour, where usually this kind of exit that you saw in here, a 90-degree turn with only one way, usually you have to fully stop there before taking that turn. So here you gain at least 30 seconds by keeping that speed. So where it's possible you can do that. You just make sure that the road is clear and you don't have a guardrail on the other side, so you can go into the grass. But even if you don't go into the grass, you slow down, but just try and not go into a full stop. If you don't go into a full stop and keep momentum, you should be fine. And another thing that you can do during the night, as you can see, you can always use the high beams, because the game will not give you a penalty, you will not get a fine. So you should be good to go with the high beams and just look at the road, and that's it. As far as the city goes and how to drive fast into the cities, now we are getting into a city, so I'm going to show you a couple of examples which you can use, but basically it's the same thing. Just keep momentum, keep the truck moving, and try not to stop at any point. So basically, let's see the first light. Okay, the first light is red. What you can do in this case, you go into the opposite side of the road and you will go and you won't get a fine, but surely make sure that you don't have oncoming traffic so you don't crash. The same thing, we have a red light, so we go into the opposite side, we keep on moving, and also we don't get a fine. Maximum you will get a fine for going into the wrong lane or a wrong direction. So the same, if it was red, you go into the opposite side of the road and you should be fine. You won't get a ticket, obviously where it is possible to do, but all major cities through the map have these kind of opportunities where you can go around. Another trick you can use is as you see in here, the sidewalk is very wide, so basically sometimes if you don't catch this opening into the road, you can use the sidewalk for to avoid the traffic light. But you have to be careful, because in here, for example, you have those bars that may be in the way, but there are many sidewalks that don't have these bars in here, so it can be taken very easily and you can save a lot of time. If, for example, you are in a position that the traffic light is red and you don't have anywhere to go, then you slow down like I'm doing in here. For example, let's say that the red light was already red, and you keep just you keep your truck just moving. You don't go into a full stop, obviously where you can, because not always is possible. And the traffic lights, usually before going green, they go yellow, and you just keep on moving the truck. So as soon as you see the yellow light, you just press the accelerator, and when the traffic light becomes green, you are going to be already moving, so we can avoid the stopping of the truck. And believe me, if you avoid the stopping, then you are going to earn a whole amount of time. Here we do the same thing. We go on the opposite side so we don't get fined. Maybe these glitches have been patched with newer versions of the game, I don't know, but I think not. So yeah, there you have it, guys. As far as the second roads, the roads with 2 lanes, try to avoid them as much as possible, but if you really have to go there, the rules of the highway apply. Follow the racing lines, but you with just one difference, that if on the highway you mostly use the tapping brakes, so you brake with tapping the brakes, not keeping them pressed. If you go into a second road or road with 2 lanes and 2 directions, you have to mostly use pressing hard the brakes, because the risks there are higher than on the highway, obviously. So you have to be very careful, more careful with the brakes when you are into those kind of roads. And on those roads, when you need to surpass someone, in some of them you will have enough space to go outside the road, not go surpass like normal, but you can go on the outside, maybe put a tire into the grass, and you will and you can pass the cars on the wrong side, not on the right side. So you should go on some of the roads, not all are that wide that you can do that. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Hope this was helpful. If so, please consider subscribing to the channel, also turn on post notification, and try to use these tricks I showed you here, because believe me, if you use them right, you can save from 10 to 20% of your time by using these tricks, and keep moving as much as you can, and obviously trying to avoid the full stops as much as possible. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching, and as always, catch you on the next one. Bye bye.